Shalom. My name is Moreh Ishiyah Yisrael from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom, and welcome to another program of 40 minutes or less. Today's program, we will be dealing with understanding Yahweh's purpose. What is the purpose of Yahweh? What is your purpose? And how do Yahweh explain any purpose in the scriptures? This is what we will deal with in this lesson. And yes, we will do this in 40 minutes or less, because all it takes is 40 minutes or less to prove the word of Yahweh. And we're going to begin our discussion in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, because there's different words that can be identified in the scriptures that detail purpose. But it's just this one word that I want you to familiarize yourself with so you can really understand the purpose in which Yahweh wants you to understand him. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, watch what this says in the very first verse. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And then the Most High will go ahead and let you know about these various different times. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. And as a time, according to the scriptures, to every purpose. So what is purpose? And to everything, there is a season, which you're going to find out that even the word season is dealing with time. Furthermore, in the 17th verse of the same chapter, watch what it says. I said in my heart, Elohim shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. There's a time there. So it is essential that for you to understand purpose, you must understand time. And not just purpose, and not just every work. But watch what this says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. Something else you must understand in order for you to understand time. And I may add, our people don't understand time. They only think they understand time. They know what time of day it is, They know the time that they were born, but what they don't know is the purpose. And not knowing the purpose is really letting us know you really don't have an understanding of the time. Watch what this says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter. And we're going to start at the 5th verse. Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. So, not just understanding time in every work, but also understanding judgment. And why? What is the significance? The 6th verse. Because to every purpose, there is time and judgment. Therefore, the misery of man is great upon him. So every purpose is broken down into time and judgment. And little do people know, time as well as judgment oftentimes is shown, demonstrated in numbers. Here it is. You got people saying, man, you don't have to count and you don't have to deal with numerology, which just means the study of numbers. Well, not studying numbers, how can you not study numbers when numbers are a part of Yahweh's word? And many people, they only think they understand numbers because they study numbers from the heathens. And so they think they know value. They think they know numbers. They think they know certain inside things to things. No, that's man and heathenistic and what man would tell you. But have you ever studied numbers in the word of Yahweh? Watch what the Creator say about his word. And since we're in the book of Ecclesiastes, right before Ecclesiastes, if you read the book of Proverbs 30, and watch what this says in Proverbs 30. It says every word, Proverbs 30 and 5. Every word of Elohim is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. And just like we found the nations, the heathens, to be liars on 26 previous lessons of 40 minutes or less, in this 27th lesson, you're going to find them even to be liars, representing something that's not the truth, misrepresenting the word of Yahweh. And unfortunately, they have caused many of the various leaders to misrepresent the word of Yahweh, even as the scriptures tell us. The leaders of these people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. And here it is, the scripture says, to every time, to every judgment, there's purpose. This word purpose comes from the Hebrew word kafetz. You might pronounce it kafetz. Some people pronounce it kaifetz. But what it means is Yahweh delights, his pleasures, his pleasurable thing to do. Something, and how can you purpose to do something that is not your pleasure? That people don't do that unless they the wicked. See, the wicked will purpose to do evil. The Almighty said, matter of fact, they won't even sleep until they've done some mischievous thing. So, but Yahweh, his purpose is his pleasure. And you're going to see how Yahweh fulfills his pleasure. Watch this just to show you how Yahweh do things. Yahweh in understanding his purpose. In the book of Jeremiah, let's go there first. Jeremiah, the 8th chapter, because we're going to talk about some things that you never knew, you never understood, and you never considered. And don't blame me because you didn't consider it, because Yahweh said, my people don't know. My people don't consider. So I'm not saying that. Yahweh said that. In the book of Jeremiah, the 8th chapter, watch what this says. And we're going to start reading at the 7th verse. It says, yea, the stork in the heaven knoweth her appointed time. She know her times, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about time and judgment. And we're talking about time and judgment in relationship to purpose. Because to every time, there's a purpose. So now let's focus on these times so we can understand these purposes. Yea, the stork in the heaven knoweth her appointed times. The turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming when they're born. They observe that time. But my people know not the judgment of Yahweh. And why? Because little do our people know, Yahweh judgment is wrapped in time. And time is wrapped in Yahweh's judgment. The very first thing that Yahweh said out of his mouth, I'm saying the very first thing, is let there be light. And what do you think that light was? Yes, it was time. And what else was it? It was judgment. And this is what our people must begin to learn. And it had a purpose. And we're going to let you know what that purpose was. Not your purpose, not my purpose, not your pleasure, my pleasure, but this was Yahweh's pleasure that was fulfilled for itself. And if you are wise, it will become your pleasure. Watch what it says. How do you say we are wise? And the law of Yahweh is with us. Lo, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is in vain. In other words, these scribes must have wrote this in vain, because the people don't do it. The people don't know it. The people don't listen to it. Then how can they say they are wise and they don't even understand Yahweh's judgment? Nor do they understand Yahweh's time. And to understand Yahweh's judgment, to understand Yahweh's time, is to understand Yahweh's purpose. Because to every time is his purpose. That's his purpose. Because Yahweh is fulfilling The very thing that purpose should be wrapped up in. And what should be your purpose? Well, your purpose should be Yahweh's purpose. But what is that purpose? Well, his pleasure. It's his pleasure. How he sees things work it out in the order in which he laid it out. And he wants you to fulfill his pleasure. He made you to fulfill his pleasure. He's guiding and ordering you to fulfill his pleasure. This is why the Creator had this law. And you'll read this law in the book of Isaiah, the 58th chapter. And watch what it says. Isaiah 58. And we're talking about understanding Yahweh's purpose. The word purpose actually means his pleasure, but it's not any type of pleasure. It's not the pleasure I want to just go to the beach. I just want to take a swim. No. This pleasure has everything to do with how Yahweh wants something fulfilled and how he wants this fulfilled, who he will use to fulfill it is essential in understanding his purpose. Isaiah 58. Now watch this, because a lot of people don't understand this verse fully, but you will today. Watch what it says. If thou, Isaiah 58 and 13, if thou turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure. And what is your pleasure? Your pleasure is your purpose, what you want to do, how you see it should go down on the Sabbath day. No, Yahweh don't want you doing your pleasure on this holy day. Watch what he says. And call the Sabbath day delight, holy of Yahweh, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own purpose. Because that's what that word pleasure means. Purpose. Nor speaking thy own words. Then thou shalt delight thyself in Yahweh. And I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Yaakov thy father. For the mouth of Yahweh have spoken it. So as you can see, Yahweh's pleasure is his purpose. And what you're going to see, what you're going to learn, is that Yahweh will oftentimes show, demonstrate, illustrate his pleasure, his purpose in time and judgment. And time and judgment is represented in numbers. Watch this. Another scripture that I want you to see so you can understand Yahweh's, his purpose, his pleasure, and not only what his pleasure is, but even who he will use for his pleasure. In the book of Isaiah, turn there. This is in the book of Isaiah, and I want you to see this verse here. This is in the book of Isaiah 45. And watch what this says. And we're going to start at the very first verse. It says, thus says Yahweh to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, And I will loose the loins of kings to open before him the two levy gates, and the gates shall not be shut. And you might ask, well, who is this? Who is this Cyrus? Who is this anointed one? Who is this that Yahweh has elected and chosen to fulfill his pleasure? And let me show you who this Cyrus is. Just want you to see this so you can understand the purposes, the pleasure of Yahweh according to his word. In the book of Isaiah 44, watch what this says. The 24th verse. Thus says Yahweh, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am Yahweh that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens above, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad, that turneth wise men backwards, and maketh their knowledge foolish, that confirmeth the word of his servant, and performed the counsel of his messengers, that said to Jerusalem, thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Yehuda, ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof. That said to the deep, be dry, and I will draw up thy rivers. 28th verse. That said of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure. And what is Yahweh's pleasure? His purpose. And how do you know Yahweh's purpose? How do you know Yahweh's pleasure? And I'm going to prove to you that most times, oftentimes, it is illustrated, demonstrated, written, even in the form of numbers. Watch this. Even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built into the temple, thy foundation shall be laid. Yes. And how can one fulfill Yahweh's pleasure, Yahweh's purpose, and you don't even know time? Because to every time, there's purpose. To every time, to every purpose, there's time and judgment. Look here. Watch this in the book of Psalm 1. Psalm 1. And you can understand the fulfillment of your own existence, but you got to want to know. And if you can understand self, surely you can understand why Yahweh made you, what is his purpose and pleasure in you to fulfill what? To fulfill your own destiny, your own goals, your own aspirations, your own purposes? Is that what Yahweh made you for? Or did he make you to fulfill his? Here it is in the book of Psalm 1. This is what it says in the very first verse. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the wicked, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh. In other words, this delight means pleasure. This word pleasure means purpose. But his purpose is in the law of Yahweh. And in his law, do he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The wicked are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the wicked shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked shall perish. And the reason he know the way of the righteous, because the way of the righteous is to fulfill his pleasure, not their own. And really it's their own, because their pleasure is the pleasure, the purpose of Yahweh. And the last thing I want you to see is in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. And I want you to see exactly why people don't know time today. And as a result of not knowing time, how could they then know Yahweh's pleasure, Yahweh's purpose? Watch this. In the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, the 23rd verse. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. And this is after that fourth beast. So it seems as though you will want to know who the fourth beast is and when this time will come into existence. And furthermore, the changing of the times, the changing of the laws, change how our people think about Yahweh. Now they don't even know Yahweh. Now they have no insights on Yahweh. Now they don't have the knowledge of the holy. All because the changing of times. And I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, when we get back to learning time and judgment, we will know purpose. Our purpose, and most important, the purpose of Yahweh. Until our next lesson, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom. Yahweh is righteous. Yahweh is holy. And let Yahweh continually be magnified.